Hello, everybody, and welcome to Meal Solutions, the day after Amazing Eagles win. So yay, so glad to hear everybody's in a great mood today. So this is the start of Valentine's week. So today we are making Valentine's meal, or a possible solution for Valentine's Day, and it's lasagna soup. And I am wearing red and my little heart necklace in honor of Valentine's Day this week. So this is just one idea of something that you can do. And my name is Joni Rampolla. I'm one of the registered licensed dietitians with your Giant and Martin stores. All right, so Valentine's Day inspiration, lasagna soup. It captures all the delicious flavors of that classic lasagna. It's rich in tomato sauce, creamy ricotta cheese, and tender noodles, but in a quicker, easier soup format. So that's why I love it. It's perfect for that cozy meal when you don't want to spend a lot of time layering ingredients in a casserole dish, which I certainly don't do. Essentially, it's a convenient way to enjoy the comforting taste of lasagna without the fuss of making a lasagna. So before I even get to the slide, just want to say, you can put in chat, what do you think is the most consumed food on Valentine's Day? That's a meal. That's a meal. I'll put it that way. So the most consumed food on Valentine's Day as a meal, I wish it was lasagna. It's not, but it's beef. So we are using our beef today. And beef is typically steak as on Valentine's Day, but we are using beef as a ground meat in our lasagna because that goes with Valentine's Day. Beef is the #1 food. I'm sure chocolate's up there too. That's why I said meal, because I feel like everybody gives chocolate or eats chocolate on Valentine's Day. That's what I think of at least. But beef is the dinner choice. It's like a meat and potatoes kind of meal, but ground meat. So choose whatever ground meat you tend to like. This week on sale, our bonus buy is 90% lean ground beef. So it's its own brand, and that is the one that I chose for this recipe because it's like $1 off a pound. It's a good sale this week. So ground turkey and ground beef containing the same amount of fat offer very similar nutrition. But if you're just picking one off the shelf, there are some differences. Beef contains more protein, not significantly more, maybe a couple grams more. And this 90% lean meat has less total fat than most turkey. You can get different leanness of turkey, but if you're just picking the average one off the shelf, this has less total fat. However, if they have the same percentage of fat, then beef does have a little bit more saturated fat. But beef does contain more iron, more zinc, and more B12 than turkey does. So this is the one that we're using today, is the 90% lean ground beef because of the great sale this week. But also there's 50% off other ground meat. And I think Nature's Promise ground beef also has 50% off this week. So it's a good week to be using ground meat, ground beef. That was the thought behind today's recipe. All right, so here is the ingredient list, and as next to me, I have all the ingredients out. So it does have a long list, but it goes really quickly. So we're using some oil, the 90% lean ground beef, a can of whole peeled tomatoes, garlic, Italian seasoning, Nature's Promise tomato basil pasta sauce, 3 cups of a low sodium chicken broth, or if you prefer water to further lower your sodium, you can. We're using 8 lasagna noodles broken up into pieces. So we're not using the whole box. That's probably, I don't know, maybe a little less than half the box. a cup of part skim ricotta cheese, some grated Parmesan cheese, 1 tablespoon of pesto sauce, and then to garnish, fresh basil. And these are the steps. Let me turn on my fire here, get going. Start the pan warming up process. So in a large Dutch oven, which I have right next to me, and my Dutch oven is red, so I love it because the Giant Martin's logo is red, but also because Valentine's Day is red symbol color. So I have a large Dutch oven. We're going to heat up the oil. I'm going to add my ground meat, and that cooks about 6 to 7 minutes. I'm going to break it up there. And in the directions, it says in the meantime, you can snip your whole canned tomatoes. I actually snipped mine ahead of time. And then we're going to add garlic, Italian seasoning, add the canned tomatoes, the pasta sauce, the broth. And that needs to cook for 15 minutes, which is why I did some of it ahead of time. And then meanwhile, we're going to cook the noodles, which I did that already, even though I probably could have had that done in those 15 minutes. I want to make sure that I am on point in case I have to cut that 15 minutes shorter. And then to a bowl, oh, I didn't get out a bowl. We're going to combine the ricotta, the Parmesan, the pesto, season if we wish to, and then add in the noodles. And then once we put it in a bowl, the soup, we're going to top it with a mixture of our ricotta cheese with all the good seasonings in it. So that is our recipe that we are going to make. And there is a tip here. If you want to do a little speedy version, you can cook the lasagna noodles right in the soup. So when you add them to the soup, you need to add 1.5 cups more liquid. So that can be broth or that can be water. And then the soup has to simmer that full 15 minutes, stirring until the noodles are tender. So there is a quick tip there if you wish to do it that way. And you can easily adjust the soup to your preferences. You can add vegetables, you can change the meat, you can add spices you like. Just like lasagna, the soup provides a warm and comforting meal, especially on a cold day like we have coming up. I know here in Maryland, we're getting snow again this week for freezing temperatures. So let's start cooking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. Yes, yes, yes. So first, here's my beautiful red Dutch oven. In my pot, I'm going to add the ground meat. So this is just that 90% lean ground meat. And I love getting the leaner ground meat because when you do, I feel like not as bad to drink, make sure you get all the fat out of it. So let me put this in my pan. And there it goes. And I'm just going to use a spatula and kind of chop it up. You could use a spoon. You could use I know they have tools to do that, whatever you like. So I'm just breaking the meat up to get it to cook evenly. In my lasagna. And it says this meat should take 5 to 7 minutes to cook. Yes, love the Dutch oven. While that cooks, I forgot a bowl. Let me see if I can have a bowl. Sorry for that reach. I forgot a bowl to mix my ricotta cheese in. So I want to make sure I have that handy for when that time comes. So while this is cooking, let's see what we can tell you here. So this takes about 7 minutes, and as soon as we get all the ingredients here, I'll mix my ricotta cheese up. But while this is cooking, I have some Valentine's Day trivia. May or may not be related to lasagna soup, but just want to see what you think. So I looked up, why is chocolate associated with Valentine's Day? Because I wanted to ask you what was the number one food. And all I kept seeing, like thinking, was it's going to be chocolate, but beef came up as the answer. But anyway, does anybody know why chocolate is associated with Valentine's Day? Yeah, so actually, it was by marketing. Go figure, right? Cadbury in the very early 1900s created a box that had cupids and hearts on it. And they said, like, you could give somebody a gift. So it was marketing, they promoted it. And then Russell Stover took that lead a few years later, and in 1923 made the first heart-shaped box for Valentine's Day. So it started as kind of that marketing message, but actually the Aztecs, even earlier, believed that chocolate could enhance romantic desires. So I looked that up because I like to know the science behind everything, right? And there are chemicals in chocolate like tryptophan and phenylethylamine, which can boost your mood and increase happiness. So that is very true that you can get happier by eating some good chocolate. But then here's another fun fact that I learned, that beef can also increase happiness, as meat in general increases dopamine production, which can elevate your mood. And also the protein in meat helps regulate appetite. So if you have this lasagna with the beef, that you get that dopamine hit that regulates your mood. And then as a dessert, you got to have some chocolate and strawberries. Or that's what I think of as fun related to Thanksgiving. But yes, have what you enjoy, but that's my best recommendation. Get some chocolate in there. So this is about probably halfway cooked. Just gonna do it a little bit more. Make sure all that beef is browned. And that's kind of what it looks like. You can still see there's a little bit of red in there. Want to make sure it's all good and browned and, healthy. See what's going on in chat. Who are those people that don't like chocolate? I agree. Thanks for the trivia. You are quite welcome. So yes, dark chocolate has the best health properties in many ways, but I think all chocolate is a dopamine hit. I don't know. I didn't go that far deep into it. And by dopamine hit, meaning it releases that feel-good hormone in the brain. All right, we are just about there. Stir it up a little bit more. And while that is cooking, so I bought my lasagna noodles, because this is what you're supposed to do while your meat is cooking. And it's going to tell you they're long, right? We all know what lasagna looks like. So I broke this up into 3 pieces and cooked them broken up. And then I drained them already because my sink is right here and I can't do that while my computer's right over the sink. But then they're just kind of these little pieces that go in the soup, or big little pieces that go in the soup, like lasagna. All right. All right, so now my beef is browned. And let me see what I do next. So then to this pot, I'm going to add, turn the fire down a little bit. I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic, minced. And let me see, Italian seasoning. Let me find that on my list and see how much to add. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. So I just have regular dried Italian seasoning. I'm going to add my 2 teaspoons. I take off the lid so I can stick a teaspoon in there. 1, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Check. Love that. And then this is my garlic mincer. It takes 3 cloves is what this recipe does. So I just put my clove in here and then push and it comes out the other end. 1 clove. 2 cloves. And then my last clove. And in the inside, it keeps the junk, the trash of the garlic clove. And then my third. That one's a little harder to push. I don't know if you could see it falling down there. Yep. So now I have my 3 garlic cloves and my Italian seasoning in there. And just stir that up a little bit before I start adding the other ingredients. All right, now let's start adding. So now the canned tomatoes. So I just bought whole peeled tomatoes, but I stuck my kitchen shears in and I cut them all up. So now they're kind of chunky. And I'm going to pour the whole can into here. Juice and all. Just you can see a little bit chunks. So we add our tomatoes to that and we're going to stir that up. Then we're going to add a jar of pasta sauce. And the recipe calls for the Nature's Promise tomato basil pasta sauce. And then I'm going to use the whole jar and pour that in. And yes, I do have some Pampered Chef equipment. I saw that in a comment. I believe that probably is my garlic press, but I don't know. Back in the day, I had a friend that sold Pampered Chef, so you see some of my things in my kitchen are that, but it feels like a long time ago now. All right, so we have the tomato sauce, the whole tomatoes, and then 3 cups of chicken broth. So I have low sodium chicken broth here, and we're going to add 3 cups. And this is the base to our soup. One cup. Two cups. 3 cups. And I'm going to give that a really nice stir. So I have my beef, my tomatoes, my broth, everything coming together in here. All right, and that takes about 15 minutes to get all those flavors simmer together. So while that is doing that, let's see, you know what? It's going to take less than 15 minutes because I see I don't have 15 minutes left. but we're gonna do a speedy version then. I might just use the soup, show you what it looks like in a bowl before it's totally done. So to this bowl, I'm gonna add the ricotta cheese. So I use the one that's made with part skim milk, if you see that there. So it's part skim, so it's obviously less saturated fat, and that's why it's a good choice. So I measured out my 1 cup already, and I'm going to put that in a bowl. And then half a cup of Parmesan cheese. So I just used regular shaker Parmesan cheese. You can buy whole and grate it yourself, but I measured it already, so I'm just going to pour that right in. And then 1 tablespoon of pesto. So I just bought, oops, I just bought pesto. Pick any brand that you want, and we're going to put a tablespoon in here. I'm kind of doing a heaping tablespoon because to me that does a really nice flavor. The pesto, I think, is what makes this a good lasagna flavor. And then I'm just going to mix that up. And then it says here, if you want to add some salt and pepper, you can. I'm choosing not to, but feel free to, if that is your preference. I'm trying to get my soup to heat up so I can put the lasagna noodles in there. It's not yet boiling, still waiting for that. And I have about 7 minutes to get it to boil and to get it assembled. So then this is what the mixture looks like. It's the ricotta cheese, Parmesan cheese, and pesto. And probably has an amazing flavor. I have my little soup ladle. And then again, these are my lasagna noodles. I am just going to pop them in to warm them up. And you want to wait until the soup actually boils until you put in your lasagna noodles, because you don't want the pasta to break down more than it needs, right? Overcook. So I cooked mine al dente, so it does have some room to get a little bit more heated. Pesto and ricotta is a great idea. A lot of flavor with 1 quick ingredient. Absolutely, yes. So I'm going to stir this up together. Oh, I wish I could show you in the pot. I'm going to put some in a bowl and show you what it looks like. Even though it may not be as hot as I need it to be, we're going to pretend it is. I have my bowl. So that is my soup plated. And then I'm going to add a dollop of my ricotta cheese. And I'm going to top it with basil. I bought some fresh basil in the store. I actually like buying the plant. I bought the plant. And then that is what your lasagna soup looks like. Pretty awesome. Well, good. I hope you try it and you enjoy it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in today. Wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day, a good Eagles celebration win day, and try some good Lasagna soup, so much easier than actually layering a casserole. I hope you love it. You are quite welcome. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.